The sight of other early risers jogging, stretching, and moving with purpose sparked something inside him. For the first time in months, he felt a surge of energy and motivation. Returning home, he picked up the book again and read further. The next passage emphasized breaking large goals into smaller, manageable steps. Big goals, the book explained, could feel overwhelming and even paralyzing if tackled all at once. Ethan realized he had been trying to sprint before learning to walk. He divided his fitness goal into smaller, achievable tasks. A short 15-minute jog for the first week, gradually increasing the duration as his stamina improved. The chapter became his roadmap, guiding him patiently through the journey of self-discipline. But life, as it always does, threw challenges in his path. One evening, exhausted from work, he plopped onto the couch and absent-mindedly turned on the television. Hours slipped by as he binge-watched a mindless series, and by the time he glanced at the clock, it was already late. A wave of guilt washed over him. All the progress he had made seemed to teeter on the edge of collapse. He picked up the book once again, opening to the chapter on self-control. The first lines resonated deeply. Resisting short-term pleasures in favor of long-term goals was essential to living a disciplined life. Ethan realized that his biggest distractions were his phone and mindless entertainment. He immediately took action, deleting unnecessary apps and limiting his social media use to a single 15-minute session each day. The first day was torturous. Every moment he felt the pull to check his phone or indulge in comfort. Yet, he wrote down his struggles in his notebook, reminding himself that self-control was not about rejecting joy, but about prioritizing what mattered most. A few days later, his friends invited him to a party. For a fleeting moment, he hesitated. Attending meant giving in to short-term pleasure, potentially sacrificing his routine. He paused, thought about the book, and remembered. Every time you resist a temptation, you move closer to the person you want to become. With a firm resolve, Ethan politely declined the invitation. The next morning, waking up refreshed and sticking to his workout, he felt a quiet pride. Each small act of self-control was reinforcing his confidence and commitment. Over time, he noticed subtle shifts. He was calmer, more focused at work, and even more present in conversations with friends and family. Then came mindfulness, a lesson that addressed the wandering nature of his mind. The book explained that mindfulness was about being fully present, managing thoughts, and reducing anxiety. Ethan practiced meditation on his balcony each morning, focusing on his breathing and letting intrusive thoughts pass without judgment. Gradually, he discovered that he could bring that same calm focus into every part of his day. Meetings at work, chats with friends, even moments alone with his thoughts over weeks. These practices, goal-setting, routines, self-control, and mindfulness transformed him. His confidence grew, his productivity soared, and his relationships deepened. Even failures once crushing became lessons to reflect upon and improve. Each setback was a stepping stone, each small victory a reminder of his growing resilience. Ethan finally understood a profound truth. Discipline was not a destination, but a journey. The book's last lesson on consistency struck a chord deep within him. Motivation could start the path, but only consistent effort, taken day by day, could create lasting change. He pledged to take at least one meaningful step each day, no matter how small, knowing that over time, those steps would lead to a life he had once only dreamed of. And so, in the quiet of his Chicago apartment, Ethan closed the book with a sense of calm determination. He knew the journey would never truly end, that each day would bring challenges and lessons. But he also knew he now had the tools and the mindset to navigate life with purpose, focus, and unwavering consistency. From that day on, Michael's life began to shift in subtle but powerful ways. Each evening, before turning in for the night, he would review the day in his mind, noting the victories and the moments he could improve. Even if he had missed a task, he didn't berate himself. Instead, he added it to the next day's list. The first chapter of How to Be Disciplined had taught him that goals were not merely items to check off. They were guides for living a fuller, more intentional life. He noticed that having written goals on paper, visible on the wall chart in his apartment, added an unexpected weight of accountability. Every tick in a checkbox sparked a small surge of energy, a quiet satisfaction that reinforced his new habits. Gradually, the early mornings became routine. The jogs through the crisp New York air became natural, and the small, consistent steps toward fitness and personal growth started to compound. Routine became his ally. Morning coffee no longer felt rushed or absent-minded. It became a ritual of focus. Work hours were now blocks of intentional productivity. Even leisure time had structure, not because he was strict with himself, but because he understood that disciplined time management created freedom rather than restriction. Michael began to see that discipline didn't mean a life devoid of pleasure, it meant intentional living. The lessons from the book seeped deeper into his daily habits. Self-control became not a struggle, but a principle. He limited social media to specific periods, resisted distractions, and prioritized tasks that aligned with his long-term goals. When friends invited him out on weekends, he assessed the choice carefully. Was it a momentary indulgence that brought genuine joy, or a distraction from what he truly wanted to achieve? These decisions, small yet deliberate, slowly reshaped his character. Mindfulness, another lesson from the book, transformed how he experienced life. Michael discovered that truly living in the present moment reduced his anxiety and sharpened his focus. Morning meditation sessions on his balcony became sacred time. He observed his thoughts without judgment, allowing them to pass like clouds while his attention returned to the rhythm of his breath. In meetings at work, he found himself more present, more attentive, and able to make decisions with clarity rather than distraction. Even failures no longer crushed him. When a project went awry at work, he reflected on what had gone wrong, learned from it, and applied those lessons to the next challenge. He embraced the idea that setbacks were not dead ends, but stepping stones toward mastery. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The combination of goal setting, routine, self-control, mindfulness, and learning from failures was building an unshakable foundation for his growth. Most importantly, Michael realized that success was not a singular moment or destination. It was the cumulative effect of small, consistent actions. Each day offered the opportunity to reinforce habits, nurture relationships, and strengthen character. Every evening, as he closed the notebook where he documented his goals, he felt a quiet sense of accomplishment, knowing he was moving closer to the life he envisioned, one intentional step at a time. The balance between ambition and personal connection, between discipline and mindfulness, began to define Michael's days. He was no longer just chasing goals. He was living them, and in doing so, discovering the profound satisfaction that comes not from reaching an endpoint, but from walking the path itself. Gradually, Michael's self-control strengthened. Each small decision to stay focused, resist a distraction, or honor his routine reinforced his growing discipline. He began keeping reminders of his larger goals in plain sight, his journal, the wall chart, and even sticky notes on his desk, so that every choice was guided by purpose. Whenever a tempting distraction appeared, he would pause and ask himself, will this bring me closer to my long-term goal, or pull me further away? Weeks passed and challenges kept coming. One day, his manager assigned him a demanding project with a tight deadline. In the past, Michael would have felt overwhelmed and found excuses to delay or avoid the work. But now, armed with self-control and a structured routine, he approached it differently. He divided the project into smaller tasks, held regular check-ins with his team, and carefully tracked progress each day. When fatigue or frustration threatened to derail him, he took a deep breath and reminded himself, one more step, one more try. Slowly, steadily, the work was completed on time, without major mistakes. His team noticed his consistency and dedication, and his manager praised him for his leadership and focus. Self-control, he realized, extended beyond work. He resisted the pull of unhealthy habits, maintained his fitness routine, and even carved out time for personal growth and reflection. Each day became an exercise in deliberate living. He no longer allowed small pleasures to dominate his time. Instead, he used them to recharge purposefully. The real power of self-control revealed itself in his interactions with others. Michael became more attentive to conversations, more present with friends and family, and more patient in moments of stress. Even the simple act of calling his parents every week transformed from a task into a meaningful ritual, reminding him that discipline could coexist with love and connection. Through these experiences, Michael understood that discipline was not a rigid set of rules, but a series of intentional choices. practiced consistently over time. Each small victory, from resisting a snack to completing a difficult project, built momentum, shaping him into the person he aspired to be. And yet, he knew the journey was ongoing. There would be setbacks, distractions, and temptations. But now Michael faced them with a new mindset. Failure was not defeat, and discipline was not punishment. It was the framework for living a life of purpose, clarity, and growth. One line particularly caught Michael's attention. The mind is like a monkey, constantly jumping from one thought to another. Mindfulness helps you tame it. He felt a jolt of clarity. If he wanted to fully harness his discipline, he needed to train his mind to stay present. The next morning, after finishing his workout, Michael set aside 10 minutes for mindfulness meditation. He found a quiet spot on his balcony, closed his eyes, and focused on his breath. At first, his mind raced. Work deadlines, old arguments, random thoughts. But he reminded himself gently, let them pass without judgment, return to your breathing. Gradually, the chaos of his thoughts slowed, and a calm clarity began to emerge. He realized that mindfulness wasn't about shutting down his mind. It was about observing it, noticing when it wandered, and bringing it back to the present. Every morning and evening, he devoted a few minutes to this practice, and soon he began to notice subtle changes throughout his day. At work, when distractions arose, he paused, took a deep breath, and refocused. When a stressful project loomed, he remained composed instead of panicking. Even in his personal life, mindfulness had an impact. Conversations with friends and family became richer. He was genuinely present, listening carefully rather than letting his mind drift. One evening, while speaking to his mother on the phone, he realized how often he used to rush through calls, offering perfunctory yes or okay replies. Now he truly listened, engaging with her stories and emotions. That simple presence deepened his relationships and gave him a sense of fulfillment he hadn't felt in years. Michael also discovered a powerful antidote to anxiety. Whenever he felt tension creeping in, he would pause, take a deep breath, and remind himself, I am in this moment. What is happening now is real. Everything else is imagination. He even wrote a note from the book on a sticky and placed it above his desk. The present moment is the only place where life truly exists. Learn to live in it. Gradually, mindfulness became an integral part of Michael's life. He noticed a newfound depth in his thoughts, productivity, and relationships. Simple moments, a sunset, the crisp winter air, laughter with a friend, no longer passed unnoticed. Each day became richer, fuller, and more meaningful. For the first time, he felt that he wasn't just doing tasks mechanically. He was truly living, consciously and intentionally. Michael's reflection didn't stop at work. One evening, sitting quietly in his apartment, he thought of his old friends, those who had once teased him whenever he stumbled or failed. In the past, he might have felt embarrassed or defeated by their words. Now he understood something deeper. Failure wasn't a weakness, but a stepping stone. Every misstep had been necessary, teaching him lessons he wouldn't have learned otherwise. That night, he opened the book once more. He sensed that the next chapter held something crucial. As he read, a single word resonated like a heartbeat through the pages: consistency. Everything he had learned so far, setting goals, building routines, practicing mindfulness, embracing self-control, learning from failures, only worked when applied consistently over time. True transformation, the book explained, wasn't sudden. Real change came from small, steady actions taken day after day. Michael thought about his own struggles. He often started tasks with energy but abandoned them too soon. He made plans but didn't follow through. Perhaps that was why many of his dreams had remained unrealized. The book offered clarity. Motivation gets you started, but consistency keeps you going, even on days you don't feel like it. Taking a deep breath, Michael acknowledged the truth. Consistency was not just a habit, it was a skill that needed daily practice. He promised himself that from now on, he would take at least one deliberate step toward his goals every single day, no matter how small. The very next morning, he tightened his schedule. He woke up early, dedicating 30 minutes to fitness, and committed to following his routine with focus and discipline. He also created a timetable for his work, ensuring deadlines wouldn't slip again. At first, it was difficult. Some mornings he lingered in bed after the alarm, tempted to skip workouts. Some evenings, excuses tried to creep in, but he kept reminding himself, if I give up today, tomorrow will be harder. Gradually, the small daily steps started to build momentum. Confidence replaced hesitation. One day, his manager assigned him a project similar to the one he had failed at months ago. But this time, fear didn't take hold. Michael approached it calmly, breaking the work into manageable parts, holding regular check-ins with his team, and sticking meticulously to his timetable. Whenever fatigue or distraction appeared, he paused, took a deep breath, and said to himself, "One more step, one more effort." Day by day, the project progressed smoothly. Tasks were completed on time, quality improved, and Michael's leadership inspired his teammates. When the project concluded successfully, his manager couldn't stop praising his discipline and consistency. Michael realized that the effect of consistency extended far beyond work. His fitness improved steadily. Where he had once exercised sporadically, he now devoted 30 minutes every day to his health. Even small habits like reading before bed became consistent. 1 page per night became a daily ritual, and slowly his mind expanded along with his discipline. Weeks later, he met his old friends. They noticed the change immediately. "Michael, you've really transformed. You seem confident, focused, and in control," one of them said. Michael smiled, explaining gently, "It wasn't an overnight change. I took small steps every day and stayed consistent. That's what made the difference." That night, he read the last lines of the book. Discipline is not the goal. It's the journey. Keep moving forward, and success becomes a habit, not a destination. Michael closed the book, looking out at the softly glowing New York skyline. He knew his journey wasn't over. Every day would bring new challenges, lessons, and opportunities to improve. But he felt ready. Real happiness, he realized, wasn't reaching a destination. It was living the journey with honesty, effort, and persistence. And so, Michael's story was far from finished. It was a new beginning, a life reshaped by small steps, mindful focus, self-control, resilience, and unwavering consistency. One evening, as he sat in his apartment, he remembered old friends who had once teased him whenever he failed. But now he understood that failure was not a weakness. It was a necessary part of growth. "If I had never failed, I would never have learned," he told himself. That evening, he opened the book again. He knew the next chapter would hold yet another valuable lesson. But before closing it, he read the final page of the chapter once more. The words reminded him over and over that failure is just another step on the path to success. Michael smiled and promised himself that he would embrace every failure, learn from it, and move forward with confidence. By now, Michael had fully integrated the 5 lessons from the book into his life. Each lesson reshaped the way he thought and acted. He saw remarkable changes in himself. The man who once blamed himself for every small failure had now learned a profound truth. It is not only natural to stumble, but it is essential to rise after every fall. He understood that growth comes not from avoiding mistakes, but from embracing them and moving forward stronger. Yet Michael knew his journey was far from over. The final chapter of the book had always intrigued him, and now, with anticipation, he turned its pages. The lesson that awaited him was one he had felt to be the most critical in his life so far: consistency. As he read, it all began to make sense. All his efforts, the clear goal setting, structured routines, mindfulness practice, self-control, and learning from failures, were meaningful only because they were sustained over time. The book emphasized that real transformation does not happen overnight. It comes from taking small, deliberate steps every day and maintaining them, even when progress seems invisible. Michael paused and reflected. Consistency had always been his greatest challenge. He often poured all his energy into a project or habit for a day or two, only to give up the next. Plans would remain incomplete, routines unfinished, and dreams unrealized. Perhaps this lack of perseverance was why so many of his ambitions had remained distant and unattainable. The book's words resonated deeply. Motivation gets you started, but consistency keeps you going. Even on days when you don't feel like it, persistence matters the most. Michael realized that consistency was not a fleeting inspiration. It was a habit that needed to be cultivated daily with patience and dedication. Taking a deep breath, he made a promise to himself. From this day forward, he would take deliberate steps every single day, no matter how small, knowing that incremental progress would eventually lead to profound results. The very next morning, he tightened his routine further. By waking up early, he added new structure and energy to his days. He committed to working on his fitness for at least 30 minutes every day, regardless of fatigue or distractions. He decided that each day would carry at least one action toward his goals. No exceptions. Michael felt a renewed sense of determination. He understood that while talent, motivation, and knowledge were important, it was consistency that would ultimately turn his efforts into real, lasting achievements. With this clarity, he looked out at the sunrise from his balcony, feeling a quiet confidence. Each day would now be another opportunity to grow, another chance to build the life he had always envisioned, step by step, habit by habit. Michael also created a detailed timetable for his work to ensure he never missed a deadline. At first, it was far from easy. There were mornings when he lay in bed long after his alarm had gone off, tempted to sleep just a little longer. There were afternoons when he found excuses to skip his workout, convincing himself he was too tired or busy. Yet every time he felt tempted to give in, he reminded himself of one powerful truth from the book. Consistency is the most important thing. If I give up today, it will be even harder tomorrow. Slowly but steadily, he began to notice the impact of these small, consistent actions. Every day felt like a step forward, taking him in a new, more purposeful direction. One morning at the office, his manager assigned him a major project, the very type of project he had failed at a few months ago. Instead of panic or fear, Michael felt calm and confident. He told himself, this time, I will not just make a plan, I will follow it consistently, step by step. He began by breaking the project into smaller, manageable tasks. He held regular meetings with his team, ensured everyone stayed on track, and incorporated feedback from each member. He strictly followed the timetable he had created, tackling each task on schedule. Whenever his attention wavered or fatigue crept in, he paused, took a deep breath, and reminded himself, one more step, one more try. Gradually, the work began to flow smoothly. Tasks were completed on time, mistakes were minimized, and the overall project moved forward seamlessly. His team members, inspired by his steady approach, started adopting some of his habits themselves. When the project was finally completed on the deadline day, his manager praised him repeatedly, commending not just his results but his leadership and consistency. Michael realized that the power of consistency extended far beyond his professional life. It began to touch every area of his daily routine. His fitness, which had been sporadic in the past, became a non-negotiable part of his day. Every morning, he dedicated 30 minutes to exercise, and gradually, both his body and mind grew stronger, healthier, and more energetic. He also began to understand that consistency was not only about major goals, but about small habits as well. Michael decided to read before going to bed every night, even if it was just a single page. These small, repeated actions created momentum, reinforcing his sense of discipline and purpose. Slowly, Michael was transforming, not through one dramatic change, but through 1,000 small, consistent steps that compounded into real, lasting growth. One day, Michael went to meet some of his old friends. As soon as they saw him, they remarked, "Wow, Michael, you've changed a lot. Earlier, you used to worry about every little thing, but now it seems like you can handle anything that comes your way." Michael smiled and replied, "This change didn't happen overnight. It happened gradually. I just took small steps every day and stayed consistent." He shared with them the lessons he had learned from the book, explaining that consistency wasn't about perfection. Consistency means keeping a promise to yourself every day. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep trying, every single day. That night, when he returned to his apartment in New York City, Michael read the last page of the book once more. It said, "Discipline is not the goal, it's the journey. Keep going, and you'll find that success becomes a habit, not a destination." He closed the book and sat for a moment, letting the words sink in. He realized that his life had indeed changed, but the journey was far from over. Every day would bring new challenges, new lessons, and new opportunities to improve himself. He placed the book carefully on his desk and looked out the window. The soft glow of the moonlight filled his room, casting a peaceful calm over everything. Taking a deep breath, he made a quiet promise to himself. He would never give up on this journey. He understood, now more than ever, that true happiness is not about reaching a final destination. It is about living the journey with honesty, discipline, and hard work. Michael's story was far from finished. It was not an ending, but a new beginning, a life guided by purpose, consistency, and mindful effort. So, friends, this was the summary of How to Be Disciplined by Sheldon Howe. Let us know how you felt about it in the comments. And thank you for listening all the way to the end.